Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Jay for those of you who are new here. If your TBR is collecting dust and your phone has become your main character, you're not alone. Today I'm sharing 15 books that helped me fall back in love with reading over the years. Some swept me up in romance, some had twists I couldn't look away from, and others just reminded me how good it feels to slow down and actually feel something again. I've grouped these books into 4 categories: addictive page turners, feel good romances, surprising emotional reads, and a few that helped me reconnect with life and my place in the world in a really grounding way. I'll try to give you just enough about each one to know if it's your vibe without spoiling anything. I know the feeling of watching a review and feeling like I've already lived the book, and I definitely don't want that for you. So whether you're in a slump or you're just looking for your next favorite, I hope something here finds you at just the right moment. So let's go ahead and get into the books. I'm gonna start with books that hooked me fast. You know those books where you just blink and it's already 2 a.m.? The kind that help you remember just how fun and addictive reading can be? Well, these were exactly that. Let's start with The Push by Ashley Audrain. I went into this one not really knowing what to expect, and I was not prepared. It's a psychological drama about a new mom, Blythe, who starts to feel like something is off with her daughter, but no one believes her. Her husband gaslights her at every turn, and we as readers start to question what's real. It's dark, layered, and honestly kind of terrifying. Maybe don't read this one if you are pregnant or have small children. Just wait till they get a little bit older. I couldn't stop thinking about it afterward. It actually became my favorite book of 2021. This is almost always going to be my recommendation for those who want something intense and emotionally unsettling in the best way. Okay, so if The Push was a slow burn spiral, this next one is in full-on sprint mode, and that is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. It starts with a woman leaving a scathing 1-star review on a horror novel, and things just escalate in the creepiest, most bonkers way. She's house sitting on the rainy Washington coast, isolated with just her dog and a very eerie neighbor. And when strange things start happening, it feels like the horror novel might be bleeding into real life. The pacing is relentless. It's the kind of book that demands to be read in one sitting for maximum pulse pounding tension. And the dog, seriously, an A+ character. Okay, this next one is a peak popcorn thriller, and I mean that in a good way, and that is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This one is about a washed-up actress who retreats to her family's lake house and starts spying on the glamorous couple across the water. When the wife suddenly disappears, our main character becomes obsessed with solving the mystery. This book has everything: voyeurism, unreliable narration, is it paranormal? And an ending I absolutely did not see coming. I've had mixed experiences with Riley Sager, especially as of late. If you've been watching my videos, you probably have already heard me talking about this. But this was the last one that I loved, and it fully delivered. Okay, the next one is Brain Damage by Frida McFadden. It is different than what you might expect if you've read McFadden's more classic thrillers. Yes, there's suspense and mystery. Our main character is a doctor who survives a gunshot wound to the head, and she has to piece together what happened to her. But there is also surprising emotional depth in this one. It's got heart, humor, healing, and even some really sweet friendship and romantic moments. It actually reminded me a lot of Catherine Center's older books before she leaned really heavily into rom-com territory. And in this one, we're in 2 timelines. Both of them are just so immersive. I was fully invested in both, but especially the after timeline. It was just so freaking good. Okay, so my next category is romance that actually worked for me, which means I think it will definitely work for you. Romance can definitely be hit or miss for me, but all 5 of these gave me that swept up, can't put it down feeling, and reminded me that a cozy and emotionally moving love story can be the perfect reading reset. First is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This one had me grinning and laughing out loud, and I was fully in my feelings. Chloe is a chronically ill web designer who decides to take control of her life, starting with a very specific list of get a life goals. She enlists the help of Red, the gruff but kind handyman slash secret artist living downstairs. And from there, it's steamy, sweet, and honestly so well done. Their chemistry is off the charts, and even though I usually roll my eyes at the third act breakup, I forgave this one. It's by far my favorite in the Brown Sisters trilogy. It was such a joy to read. And then on the totally opposite end of the emotional spectrum, Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This book just hurts in that delicious, nostalgic kind of way. It follows 2 former NYU students who were inseparable back in the day, but drifted apart after college until a random subway sighting 15 years later makes one of them reach out. It flips between their past and the present in a way that is seamless and totally addictive. I pulled so hard for this couple. It's so grounded, full of real life choices and regrets, but also it is so romantic. If you love second chance love stories with real emotional backbone, this one will absolutely wreck you and then put your heart back together again. If you like romance with a strong sense of place, The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker totally delivers. I wasn't expecting this one to be such a page turner, but I could not put it down. It follows Kala, a city girl who travels back to remote Alaska to reconnect with her father that she barely knows. And there, she ends up butting heads with Jonah, a rugged pilot who thinks she's completely out of her element, and he isn't wrong. Their opposites attract dynamic is so on point, and there is so much heart here, especially with the family storyline. It's funny at times. Like, seriously, when this couple met, I was laughing hysterically. But it is also surprisingly deep and serious. I was definitely all in. Okay, another one in this category is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. This one had such a fun premise, and I'm happy to report the actual story lived up to it. Nora is a romance channel screenwriter who turns her real-life divorce into a killer script. And when the actor playing her ex ends up sticking around her guest house after filming is wrapped up, things get interesting fast. But what made this one really work for me was how grounded it felt. There's small town charm, family dynamics, and a slow burn romance that I found super believable and really sweet. I flew through it in one night because once things took a turn, I could not rest until I saw how it all played out. It honestly shocked me. Oh, this one was so good. Okay, the last one in this romance category is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I went into this one having a good hunch I was going to like it because I do really like Catherine Center's books, but it still took me by surprise. It follows Sadie, a portrait artist who suddenly can't recognize faces right after getting shortlisted for a huge art competition. And yeah, that premise sounds kind of quirky, and it is, but the story has so much heart. There's a bit of a love triangle situation and some emotional twists I definitely didn't see coming. And one moment in particular made me gasp out loud. I was totally obsessed while reading it, and after reading it, I could not shut up about it. It's one of those books that just made me feel so good, so blown away, and I think I might have hugged it when I finished. Okay, so next I want to move into my category, fiction that surprised me in the best way. And what I mean by that is these are books that I thought might be a little quiet or too out there or just not for me, and then somehow I was completely hooked. So whether it was the emotional weight or the structure or just how much I ended up caring about the characters, each one of these books found a place in my heart. First up is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I'll be honest, I kind of judged this one by the cover and assumed it wouldn't be for me. I thought it might be a little too quirky or cutesy, but I was so wrong. I ended up loving Eleanor. Yes, she is awkward and blunt and has this very rigid way of moving through the world. But watching her start to open up through a couple of unexpected friendships was really moving. And Raymond, he deserves an actual fan club. There's so much heart in this story. It's endearing, emotional, sometimes hilarious, and ultimately really touching. I laughed, I got misty-eyed, and I ended up loving this way more than I expected to. Next up is Mary Jane by Jessica Ania Blau. Where Eleanor Oliphant feels modern and interior, Mary Jane gives this perfect wave of retro summer nostalgia. It's set in 1970s Baltimore and follows a quiet, bookish 14-year-old who takes a summer nannying job for what her conservative mother believes is a respectable family. What she finds instead is a wildly chaotic, free-spirited home where a famous rock star and his movie star wife are living secretly, while the live-in dad is actually a psychiatrist helping this rock star get sober. I just rooted so hard for Mary Jane the whole time. The relationships she forms with this makeshift household are so sweet and sincere. And watching her world expand beyond what she thought was possible was so satisfying. I highly, highly recommend reading this one in the summer. And hey, guess what? That's perfect timing. And preferably even read it on a porch with some music playing in the background. Okay, I picked up this next one probably about 15 years ago, a little reluctantly because I thought it was more, cat hair. I thought it was geared more towards like a generation older than me. No shade at all. I just didn't think it was going to be my thing. And I was so wrong. And that is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. Okay, so like I said, this one completely won me over. It's a time-traveling historical romance where a nurse from the 1940s gets dropped into 18th century Scotland, and it is packed with high-stakes drama, intense chemistry, and that kind of immersive world building that makes everything else fade away. The pacing isn't always nonstop action, but once it hooks you, it really hooks you. These books are chunkers, but I tore through the first few back to back and ended up making it to book 7 before taking a long break from it, but I do fully intend to get back to this series. It's romantic, emotional, adventurous, and as I found out, pretty age-proof. What's so funny is now I'm 15 years older. I'm the age that I thought it would be for. How did that happen? So if you're looking for a series to get lost in for a while, this is one I will always recommend. And then you can go on to watch the series, which unfortunately for me, I didn't really get into, but maybe you will. The books, however, are fantastic. Okay, so these last several books I'm going to mention are books that reconnected me with life and with my place in the world. Sometimes the books that leave the biggest mark are not the fastest paced or the flashiest. They're the ones that help you to slow down, breathe deeper, and remember how good it feels to just be. These books reminded me to pay attention again to nature, to memory, to what it means to be alive in your body. I came out of all of these feeling a lot more grounded. First is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. You've probably heard of this one, maybe even watched the movie, but the memoir itself is something else entirely. It's Cheryl Strayed's account of hiking over 1,000 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail, completely alone in the aftermath of losing her mother and unraveling her life. And while I personally related deeply to her grief, having lost my own mom at age 26, you absolutely don't have to share that experience to feel this one hit. It's raw, vulnerable, unflinching. It made me want to sell everything I own, put what I do own into a backpack, and hit the trail. But it also made me so incredibly grateful to curl up in bed under the covers with snacks and indoor plumbing. Truly, it is such a powerful read that invites you to reflect on your own heartbreaks mistakes, and healing. Cheryl Strayed goes incredibly deep, and it is painfully honest. All right, moving on to Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This book reminded me so much of how atmosphere and setting can carry a story. This particular book pulled me out of a 1-year reading slump when it first came out. The story follows Kaya, a young girl who's basically raising herself in the marshlands of North Carolina, and it mixes coming of age with a bit of mystery in this really immersive, nature-rich setting. I've seen people say that parts of it are very unrealistic, but I think that totally misses the point. It's about survival, loneliness, and how deeply a place can shape a person. I felt everything along with Kaya: fear, hope, wonder, love, all of it. And the movie is actually quite good, but of course I recommend reading the book first. And finally, the one that I'm closing with is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I had no idea how much I could love a book that was about tennis, but leave it to TJR to make me completely fall in love with the court, the competition, and most of all, with Carrie. She's fierce, unapologetic, and refreshingly direct, but underneath all of that is a vulnerable core that really shines through, especially in her relationship with her father, Javier, I believe his name was. I loved their bond so much, and Bo, her training partner and former almost love, is another standout. This book isn't quiet or lyrical in the same way the others are, but it reconnected me to life through its physicality, its sense of purpose, and its emotional depth. I'm ending with this one because by a very narrow margin, it's my favorite on the whole list, and it's one I know I will revisit again soon. And those are the 15 books that reminded me what a joy reading can be and helped me reconnect with why I reach for a book in the first place. So hopefully there's at least one here that I mentioned that will do the same for you. If any of these stood out, or if you've read something lately that reignited your love of reading, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you enjoy bookish content like this, wrap-ups, recommendations, vlogs, and the occasional nature trail, I'd love it if you subscribed. Spoiler alert, I'm currently reading a book that I think might just edge out All the Colors of the Dark as my favorite book of 2025 so far. So make sure you stay tuned to find out about that one. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here today, and I will see you all soon in the next video. Bye!